Good morning. Happy Nap Week. Thank you for joining us on this exciting day 4 of the National Activity Providers and Professionals Week. My name is Natalie Ravenscroft and I'm the Service Development Manager here at the National Activity Providers Association. It is an honour for NAPA to host this wonderful celebration in recognition of the incredible, and it's been amazing over this week to see the contributions of activity providers and professionals nationwide. Today, I'd like to express our heartfelt gratitude to our main sponsors, Belong Villages, and our celebration sponsor, Majestic Air Luxury Care Homes, for their unwavering support in making this week-long celebration possible. So thank you so much. Thank you to everyone that's attended or caught up with the lives and the webinars, the CPD courses. And we've just been absolutely amazed at the incredible things you have been doing to celebrate activity providers far and wide. There are still places open for the webinars tomorrow, so please do head over to the Eventbrite page and please do book yourself on. Thanks to all of those who have been walking. We have set an amazing 10,000 steps a day challenge for Nap Week, and there's still time to get involved. Help this fantastic initiative to raise funds for NAPA's Living the Dream Fund. Today's theme is ways to support self-care. Wellness and well-being is something that we all aim to support and maintain for ourselves and the individuals we support on a daily basis. For me, both are so important. When working as an activity provider, we seek to support others, but we also need to take care of ourselves. And all the activities you provide, plan and support will be full of wellness and well-being benefits. Ultimately, wellness and well-being is the foundations for meaningful connections, personal growth, and a more vibrant community within the role of activity providers and the individuals you support. It gives us a sense of belonging, which fits in perfectly for NAPA's Year of Belonging. It's now my pleasure to introduce my guest today, Zoe Robson, Lead Exercise Specialist for Belong Villages and a proud Physical Activity and Nutrition Advisor for NAPA. Welcome and happy Nap Week, Zoe. Thank you for joining me.
Hi, Nat. Happy Nap Week to you as well. It's a real pleasure to be here. I'm really excited about this live.
Well, we're delighted to have you and your expertise, pardon me. So Zoe, do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself and your role?
Okay, so I am the lead exercise specialist within the Belong Villages. So Belong is a care provider in the Northwest. So I oversee the entire department. So we're very lucky to have an exercise and rehab department within the villages. So I kind of look after them, I'm the subject matter expert and just work with the most amazing team and have the opportunity to work with amazing people that live at Belong.
It sounds really exciting, and you clearly really like your role as well, which shines through. So Zoe, what inspired you in your passion for well-being, and how has this shaped your understanding of wellness?
Okay, this is a really weird kind of how I got into it. So I'm a veteran. I spent 12 years in the military. At my 10-year point, I kind of thought, right, I want to leave, but what am I going to do? And I really like doing my nails when I was on leave. So I went and did a nail technician course. And in that course, there was a lot about anatomy. And it really pulled this passion for knowing about the human body and how it works. So for the last 13 years, I have been studying now at degree level with my knowledge and expertise, and I'm working with the people that Belong has really inspired me to continue my development. So I didn't know much about wellness, I guess, before doing all this, but it is such a huge part now of my role and kind of understanding it. And I think people generally have more of an understanding of people's well-being and mental health. Probably more so now than maybe 10 years ago when I first started doing all my training.
Yeah, definitely. And what an interesting way to get involved. I mean, a nail coming from a veteran, I'm sure, being in the army, in lots of mud and camping and getting into nails. So what a great way to get into it. I know many of us watching will have fell into kind of a similar role within wellness and well-being, whether that will be from being creative, hobbies, or just working within the care sector itself. So yeah, nails, interesting. So can you explain for us, for everyone watching, I think sometimes there can be a little bit confusion around what is the difference between wellness, what is the difference between well-being. So do you want to just elaborate on that a little bit more?
Yeah, of course. So I think that it is quite confusing, the two words, wellness and well-being. So, and I think actually it can be how somebody interprets those words. And if you ask different people, they'll probably give you different examples. So for me, wellness is really like how well you are within yourself, and then well-being, how you're coping as a human being and your quality of life. And both can be affected by a number of things. External factors have a lot of impact on well-being, so financial stability, work, relationships, things just day to day that sometimes you don't have much control of, but stuff in the environment that really kind of can impact you, can have a negative or a positive effect on your well-being.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, as you mentioned there, I think wellness, looking more at the physical and mental state, thinking about our fitness, our nutrition, our stress management. So speaking about nutrition, I think we have a nutrition and hydration resource that we are delighted to share. Please do go and have a look at that. It is free to download over on the NAPA website. And it gives you some really top tips on. It's so important. I think when we're in care, we often don't really stop to have a drink. We don't think to take that moment to have a glass of water, or what meals are we eating for the day. And if you're dehydrated, or there's moments where you're feeling hungry, then that can have an impact on how you manage your shift, how you continue through the day. Would you agree with that, Zoe?
Yeah, and I think sometimes as well that we forget people that we look after. And I can only really speak from working with older people, that we kind of forget that there is some things that might impact nutrition and hydration. So for instance, if somebody is on multiple medication, that can actually impact their taste and smell. And I think there's some research out there that if somebody has a health condition and they're on multiple medications, that it takes 11 teaspoons of salt for them to taste the same that we taste, and 3 tablespoons of sugar, that the same that we can taste. And if somebody's living with dementia, it's really important that we are assisting with the nutrition element by presenting things in a really nice way, maybe having the smells of cooking going on, or things that look colourful and nice, and there's lots of kind of atmosphere around cooking. And I think hydration, it's something that really does need to be pushed. And I absolutely agree with you. I think when you're running around and you're kind of looking after 10 million things at once, and I imagine most activity providers are like that, that's really important just to stop and just grab a glass of water, or even tea, has some sort of also enough hydration in it, that you're going to get. It's better to have that than not to have it. So yeah, hydration and nutrition is a huge part. Yeah.
So in summary, we would say that wellness is more focused around the health-related benefits and practices, whereas the well-being is more the holistic concept, and that includes health and happiness. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you, Zoe. Can you share some tips for activity providers to incorporate self-care into their daily living? Because again, not only with nutrition and hydration, but this is another area that we don't often think about our own well-being as self-care as an activity provider.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see it from the amazing activity providers at Belong. All of them are fantastic, and they're running around 100 miles an hour. I think that my tips would be time management. leaning on teams for support if you are struggling, and it is okay to say that you're overwhelmed. I think there's a lot of external factors that maybe not in the workplace that can affect the workplace, and I think everybody's felt like that. You've come into work really stressed and then you're not your best self. So really leaning on your team and speaking to your line manager if you're not feeling great. Get an exercise. There's loads of apps out there. The Couch to 5K of the NHS. On YouTube there's meditation or yoga, support groups via Facebook. There's lots of stuff out there if you Google it, and it's okay to not be okay. So if you are struggling, then that's okay, you know, and just take a moment. Yesterday, for instance, I was at one of the villages and I hadn't really had a break, and I suddenly felt really kind of, you know, foggy and not great, and I just very, very strangely, I just did 3 laps around the building, got some fresh air and just away from the screen, and I felt, you know, okay. So well, yeah.
I'll take your word for the 3 laps. I'd probably reflect on self-care in maybe a different way, maybe eating a nice piece of cake or something. But yeah, I think physical activity is so important. And you helped us write an amazing resource around falls prevention. Do you want to just tell us a little bit of how you felt about supporting that resource?
Yeah, absolutely. Falls for me is something that I'm really not falls. I'm not passionate about falls, but actually the falls prevention and the knowledge around falls and the impact that it can have on people, not just older people that maybe are living within the care industry, but actually people at home. It can really knock confidence. It can affect hydration, nutrition. It can affect just normal daily living, in emotional well-being. So yeah, within that document, there's a lot of tips and information how to kind of prevent falls or where to go if you're worried. It was a real nice piece of work that I was able to write for that, and I really feel lucky that I was able to do that for Napa.
Oh, thank you, Zoe. Please do go and have a look at the falls prevention toolkit. It's absolutely amazing, like Zoe said, and she's written a good few pages in there, giving you some advice. So, common misconceptions around self-care and how we address them. You know, what do you feel they are, and how can we break them down? You just mentioned a few, but how do you think we could do that, Zoe?
I think that if somebody says I need 5 minutes, I think that it's kind of instilled in us that that's not okay, and that you're at work and you must work, and that you're only allocated your certain amount of breaks and stuff like that. Self-care is so important, because if you're not okay, then you know the people you're looking after, whether that be your customers or your family, or you know, then that's going to have like a, you know, a bit of a waterfall effect on everything else around you.
Yeah, I think yesterday, Lizzie in yesterday's live made a really good point about, you know, setting boundaries, understanding what them boundaries are, and discussing and being open. You know, like you said before, it's okay to not be okay, and how we as, if you're a manager watching this live, whether you're live now or later, thinking about what are we doing to provide that message to our staff teams, and not only that, the individuals, because you know, quite often as an activity provider, and I'm sure Zoe, you see this, and being you know, lead exercise facilitator, I'm sure you will see that you'll get family members that come up to you and want to ask you questions, and you might be trying to take a break somewhere, and someone's, have you got 5 minutes? And you know, you because we care, because we're passionate, we say yes, of course, and you're trying to eat your lunch, or you know, you're trying to have a cup of coffee, or you're just sat on your phone for 2 minutes because you're having your break, and often you'll get them individuals coming to take that time. So setting healthy boundaries, I think, is important. Would you agree, Zoe?
Absolutely. And a visual that I always try to explain is, if you imagine throughout your day that you start your day with an empty cup, and every little thing that happens, maybe you're 5 minutes late, just gets a bit fuller, a bit fuller, a bit fuller. And if you don't actually give time to kind of just release some of that, whatever contents is in the cup, it will just keep going till it overflows. So it's really, really important, self-care.
Yeah, and it's not selfish. Okay, if you need that, it's not selfish. Just make sure you talk to someone. So, how do we define wellness in the individuals that we support that live in care services?
Okay, so understanding them, who they are as an individual, making sure that care plans are up to date and being reviewed, that anything that maybe they might need a review from the GP or a dentist or a specialist, making sure that happens. Really kind of, I think it's really important getting to know your residents, because you're then the best person to kind of say, hey, there's something not quite right here, and kind of reporting that, moving that forward, and just kind of taking the time to ensure, I guess, just, I don't, it's quite, there's lots of stuff that go into, I guess, looking after the people that, the well-being of people that we look after within the care industry.
Yeah. And I would say that from an activity provider's perspective, that would be the support of a care plan from the wellness side, but from the well-being side would probably things like life story, making sure that that's up to date with what that individual enjoys, what their life history has been, how you can incorporate that into a program for them, and how you can support them. If someone, for example, from the wellness aspect today doesn't want to get up, I'm sure you have this, Zoe, when it comes to getting involved in physical exercise. I think if it was me and you was coming to do, support me and do some work with me, you would need to play something like ABBA or Queen to get me motivated. And you would need to draw down on that from my life story. And that would then hopefully encourage me to get up and come and partake in some physical exercise for my wellness. And then that would blend in with my well-being. So, what role does mindfulness and mental health play in approaches to supporting self-care within well-being?
So, that is quite a roundabout question, isn't it?
I think sometimes it could be feelings, a greater awareness of people's thoughts.
Okay.
I think incorporating mindful techniques into daily routines. So as we just said then about music, thinking about the environment. I know at Belong you have open kitchens, where individuals can come and help with preparation of food. Probably days, I think national days, like Sunday for, Sunday for us, I did a post about it the other day. It's ingrained in me that that's like my reset day. So that helps me in my well-being to think, right, on a Sunday, I'm going to do the washing, I'm going to do a deep clean,
reset.
Kind of like a Sunday reset. So I think kind of them approaches and practices can help in terms of providing self-care within well-being. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I think there's lots of stuff out there, and taking time away from work, and actually when you're on leave, being on leave, there's lots of things I think that we don't really think about. I'll just do 5 more minutes, and like you were saying about lunchtime, and people kind of going, oh, I just need to talk to you, and actually being on your break, and that's important, that you're taking that time for yourself and outside of work as well.
Back to them boundaries again, isn't it? Them healthy boundaries and managing oneself. So our approaches to cater to individual needs, our unique needs and preferences. I mean, we've talked about the boundaries, but taking time to understand learning styles, how people may involve, with direct communication and observation. Quite often I've worked with individuals and you just look at someone and that they might need "Are you okay today?"
Yeah,
would you like a cup of coffee?
Yeah. And I think that's where you really need to know the people that you're working with. There's been so many times when my role has suddenly changed from the exercise and rehab to actually, okay, you need something else today. Let's spend that time and just bring your emotions down. You're in a safe space with me. Let's get out whatever it is. Let's see if I can help you. And it is really about knowing the individual. And like you were saying, like, you're not okay today. And maybe not making it that obvious, but, being able to kind of understand and know that, okay, maybe we do have this train of thought or this pathway that we should be taking, but that should deviate for today. And let's just try and deal with the situation as we're coming to it.
Yeah, being flexible. And I think clear communication also is really important. Quite often we're doing a million things and we don't stop to say thank you. That really has a profound impact. I know you have like the positive pot that you use at your 10 at 10 meetings. Do you want to just tell us quickly a little bit about how you say thank you in that way?
Yeah, so at reception there is like a little fishbowl, I guess, and some comment slips, and then anybody, whether it be staff, it could be visitors, family members, residents, anything that's just been a real stand-up moment, or even just a general thanks so much just for being you, gets put in that. And then at our meetings in the mornings they get pulled out, which is just lovely. And like you were saying, sometimes just that thank you, sometimes the negative stuffs are a lot more louder than all the amazing positive things that happen day to day.
I love that. That saying there, Zoe, thank you. Sometimes the negative stuff is very, very loud, and that's all we can hear with in around our sensories. And I think empathy and patience is also important as well. Not everyone thinks the same as we do. Not everyone can suck it up sometimes. Not everyone wants to relax by eating cake. Some people want to relax, as you say, by running around the building 3 times. Everyone's totally different and unique in how they can facilitate themselves with self-care and focus on their well-being and teamwork. So thank you for that. Have we got any questions from the audience for everyone that's watching today? Thank you so much. So I think we've got one here. Let me try and read that. James, I struggle with my own well-being and support other men in our unit. As men are often seen as being tough, any advice on ways to introduce sessions or activities? That's a good question, James. We often hear from the support services here at Napa ways in which we can involve male engagement more. Do you want me to take this one, Zoe, and you chip in?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, of course.
So setting up sessions like workshops, walking groups, having information to hand for people to read is also really helpful. Just having things out that might provide a conversation starter. There's a great charity called Man Up or Mind that can provide specific specialty resources. And we also have an abundance of ideas within the practice development platform, the Shed. And also, we've got a journal which I'll share shortly. But Zoe, do you want to add anything to James's question?
Do you know, when we spoke last week, I think that, and we were kind of going through, the plans for this week and stuff, my automatic thought process was towards women, because I am a woman, and things that women might be feeling as they get older and stuff. But absolutely, it's so important to think about our male colleagues that work within the industry, and not only that, the males within the care industry, and I think that sometimes there's quite a female dominant place, but yeah, absolutely. I belong, certainly they've done a lot of stuff just with gents exercise class, like you're saying, a walk-in session just for the gentlemen.
Yes, that's brilliant. Thank you so much, and good question, James. Have we got any more? I think we've got another one. Donna, hello, Donna. I'm not sure where I would find the time to even think about my own well-being. Do you have any advice for time management? That's a good question.
It is. Thanks, Donna. Being a mum and working full time, and then other projects going on as well, it's really important, time management. I think scheduling, maybe food planning, whether that be weekly shops or actually what you're going to be eating with the family or at home. Yeah, I think it's really difficult. I think everybody struggles with time management.
I think it's easy to give the advice, but to put it in practice. So I think it takes a lot of inner control to make sure that, but start small. Don't overwhelm yourself, with, and I say this about when we're asked to go out and connect with our communities in services. Start small, start with an achievable goal. And then, it might be that when you come in at 9 o'clock on a Monday morning, the first thing you're going to do is set up a room. It might be that, when you take your break, you're going to take it in a space where people are not going to interact with you. So you get that piece, that self time to yourself. So in terms of time management, Donna, yeah, you're going to have to be really, really tough with yourself and make sure that, you know, you start small. Do we have any more? Evie. Hello, Evie. I often hold a tea at 3 where we have a space for anyone to have a cuppa and natter. That sounds perfect, Zoe, doesn't it? I mean,
I love that idea.
I think anyone watching this might take that, Evie. You can please do let us know if you start a tea at 3. I'm sure Evie would love to hear that. But we talked about hydration before, and I think that's a great place just to walk past and maybe sit down and grab a cuppa and a natter with someone. That sounds amazing. Oh, we've got another one. Dexter, this was really helpful. Any advice on how I can do things for free or resources I can use? Zoe, what can we do for free?
Oh, there's lots of stuff we can do for free. Do you know Google? It's a really good resource. I know that it certainly helped me when I was first starting out. So there's lots of stuff on the NHS website for mindfulness, exercise. There's lots of information out there on nutrition. Yeah, and I think Facebook groups are really good. And NAPA has quite a lot of resources as well on their website.
Well, that ties us nicely into a fantastic wellbeing journal that we're launching for NAP Week. It's free to download. It's full of support, advice, guidance, top tips to help you on your wellness and wellbeing path. So I think our time is up, Zoe. I could have talked to you for ages, and I'm sure everyone watching will have other questions. So please do pop them in the chat if you've not managed to join us live today. But I think we've had some really good questions there, certainly with Edie for tea at 3. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you all for joining us this morning and reflecting upon what is wellness and well-being and how important self-care is. I would like to invite you to join us tomorrow for our grand finale. I cannot believe we're at the end of NAP Week. It has been absolutely amazing, where we're going to celebrate you, the fabulous activity providers, and we'll be joined by Big Ian live across social media at 3 p.m. I've seen snippets, and I've got goose pimples. I'm so excited to watch Big Ian. If you don't know who Big Ian is, he's just so motivational. He's a great individual, and I'm sure we'll get ending the week on a big high. If you've missed any of the lives this week, please do catch up with them on NAPA socials. And if you have any questions, as I mentioned, just drop them and we'll reply as soon as possible. Don't forget, we have membership discounts on membership and qualifications. If you're not a NAPA member, why are you not a NAPA member? And we have a massive sale in our shop. We do love January sales here, so grab them before the end of January. Our conferences, we are delighted, just quickly before we leave, to share that we have launched our early bird offer. We will be joining you in Birmingham and Edinburgh this year. Do not miss out on the only conference that is dedicated to well-being. There's so much to do, workshops, speakers. You can mix with other activity providers. This is an amazing space and something that I held dearly when I was working as an activity provider. And if you're a member, it'll be great to see you. So that's everything for now. Zoe, thank you so much for joining. Go and have a cup of tea. That's what I would say. Go and get a cup of tea and have a great rest of NAP Week. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye for now.
Bye.